living in an apartment at the time. And he shows up. I open the door, and there's this bad Zero Mostel comb over out of the relationship between father and daughter. And we chose you because just like Carroll O'Connor, you have blue eyes and a fat face. I said, okay. Thanks.
At 78 years old, Sally Struthers is finally pulling back the curtain on her past, and the truth lands way heavier than most people expected. On the surface, her early life looks stable, respectable, and secure. Born Sally Ann Struthers on July 28, 1947, in Portland, Oregon, she was raised in what many would call a good household. Her father, Robert Alden Struthers, worked as a surgeon, while her mother, Margaret Caroline, held things together at home, raising Sally and her sister Sue with structure and discipline. From the outside, it looked picture perfect. A medical family, strong expectations, pressure to succeed, and an unspoken rule that failure wasn't really an option. But behind closed doors, the foundation wasn't as solid as it appeared.
Oh, this chair, and he doesn't like anyone to sit in it.
Well, how's he gonna know?
Because he was wounded in the war. You know WW2, the big one?
When Sally was just around 10 years old, her father walked away from the family, and that single moment changed everything. Suddenly, her mother was left raising two daughters on her own, juggling survival, stability, and strength all at once. That kind of early disruption leaves a mark, and Sally felt it deeply. Losing that sense of security forced her to grow up fast, sharpening an emotional awareness that would later become one of her greatest strengths on screen. Those emotions weren't manufactured or rehearsed. They were lived in, raw, and real. Long before fame arrived, the fire was already there, and audiences would eventually feel it without even knowing why. Her first real steps into entertainment came in the late 1960s and early 1970s, through small but meaningful roles that slowly put her on Hollywood's radar. In 1970, she landed a brief but unforgettable part in 5 Easy Pieces, sharing the screen with Jack Nicholson. Even with limited screen time, she didn't disappear into the background. She held her ground and made people notice. That same year, she popped up on television variety shows like the Smothers Brothers Comedy Hour and the Tim Conway Comedy Hour, showing off sharp comedic timing, confidence, and natural charm. She wasn't just funny. She was quick, fearless, and adaptable. Then came the moment that flipped her entire life upside down. In 1971, Sally Struthers became Gloria Bunker on All in the Family, and overnight she was a household name. Gloria was caught between her loud, old-school father Archie and her outspoken, progressive husband, and Sally played that tension with heart, attitude, and emotional depth. From 1971 to 1978, she helped drive one of the boldest sitcoms in television history, tackling racism, women's rights, and generational conflict head-on. She wasn't just acting. She was reflecting real-life struggles, and that's why the role still resonates today. Her performances earned widespread praise and cemented her reputation as an actress who could balance comedy with serious emotional weight. Viewers quickly realized she wasn't limited to sitcom energy. She had range, depth, and a grounded intensity that carried real impact. In 1972, she surprised audiences by stepping into a darker, more intense role in The Getaway, starring alongside Steve McQueen and Ali MacGraw. She played the restless, dissatisfied wife of a veterinarian, a character worlds away from the sitcom image that had made her famous. This wasn't lighthearted or comedic. It was tense, controlled, and emotionally sharp. The film became a major box office success, forcing Hollywood insiders to rethink how far her talent could stretch. In 1977, she delivered another powerful dramatic performance in the television film Intimate Strangers, portraying a woman experiencing abuse within her marriage. At the time, television rarely tackled such subjects with honesty or seriousness. Her portrayal was restrained, respectful, and deeply affecting, bringing attention to an issue many networks avoided entirely. That project earned her lasting respect as a performer willing to step into difficult, socially relevant material instead of staying safe. Her connection to All in the Family remained strong, and from 1982 to 1983, she reprised Gloria in the spin-off Gloria, following the character as a newly single mother navigating independence and responsibility. Though the series lasted only 1 season, it allowed Struthers to expand a role that defined a major chapter of her career. Around the same time, she became a familiar face on game shows like Win, Lose, or Draw, where her humor and quick reactions connected easily with audiences. In the early 2000s, Struthers found renewed popularity as Babette Dell on Gilmore Girls, the outspoken and warm-hearted neighbor in Stars Hollow. She quickly became a fan favorite, adding texture and personality to the show's tight-knit world. She followed that with a recurring role on Still Standing in 2003, playing Louise Miller, a sharp-tongued and manipulative mother. Together, these roles proved her adaptability and long-term relevance, showing she could move seamlessly from 1970s television to modern audiences without losing her edge. Starting in the early 2000s, Sally Struthers also quietly built a steady presence on stage, becoming a regular performer at the Ogunquit Playhouse in Maine. Known for polished productions and loyal audiences, the theater became another space where her experience, discipline, and emotional depth continued to shine. The stage gave Sally Struthers the space to breathe, grow, and stretch creatively, far away from television cameras and industry noise. Throughout that decade, she stayed busy in live theater, moving smoothly between styles, moods, and tones without missing a beat. She appeared in productions like Love Letters, Curtains, Cinderella, Hello, Dolly, and The Drowsy Chaperone, proving she wasn't boxed into one lane. Each role revealed a different layer of her skill set. From sharp, fast comedic delivery to controlled, emotional restraint, she showed range that didn't rely on nostalgia. In 2012, she stepped into the role of Roz Klein in 9 to 5, the musical, tapping right back into the fast-paced humor audiences always responded to. Between 2015 and 2016, she played Agnes Gooch in Mame at the Riverside Center Dinner Theater, once again showing she could shine in both supporting roles and big, personality-driven performances. Away from the spotlight, Struthers hit a major turning point in her personal life when she married psychiatrist William C. Rader on December 18, 1977, in Los Angeles, California. At the time, she was already widely known for her Emmy-winning role as Gloria on All in the Family. The marriage brought together two very different professional worlds, her life in entertainment and his work in psychiatry. Rader was firmly rooted in traditional psychiatric practice during their early years together, long before later controversies would shape public perception. For Struthers, who had spent much of her adult life under constant public attention, the relationship marked a shift towards something more private and grounded. That sense of focus deepened with the birth of their daughter, Samantha Rader. Motherhood quickly became the center of her world. She often described it as grounding and transformative, reshaping how she viewed success, responsibility, and balance. Protectiveness and patience moved to the top of her priorities as she worked to juggle career demands with family life. Struthers remained closely connected to her daughter as she grew older, later supporting Samantha's interest in psychology and holistic wellness. Despite that closeness, the marriage itself didn't last. After just over 5 years, Struthers and Rader divorced on January 19, 1983. The separation wasn't easy, but she stayed focused on stability, care, and consistency for her child while continuing to work steadily in television, theater, and charitable efforts. Independence stopped being a slogan and became a daily practice. When Struthers reflects on her career, one figure stands above nearly all others: Carroll O'Connor, the man who played her television father, Archie Bunker. For years, audiences linked them almost inseparably, forming one of television's most complex and recognizable family dynamics. Now, at 78, Struthers has started speaking more openly about her bond with O'Connor, both on-screen and behind the scenes, and the truth, she says, was never fully understood. According to her, Carroll was never just Archie Bunker. The rough edge, biting jokes, and political arguments people saw on TV, that was acting. In real life, she explains, Carroll was thoughtful, gentle, and deeply protective of the people he cared about. She added that he cared about her more than she even realized at the time. Struthers recalled how nervous she felt when she was cast as Gloria in 1971. All in the Family was already pushing boundaries, and she was young and still finding her footing. The scripts were heavier than anything I'd ever done, she said. I was untested in a lot of ways. That's when Carroll stepped in. She said he took her under his wing immediately. He never talked down to her, never made her feel small. He wanted her to succeed because he understood that Gloria mattered to the story. He knew Gloria wasn't just a daughter character. She was a voice for a new generation, challenging Archie's worldview head-on. One moment stayed with her for decades. He told her, "You're not just acting, you're speaking for millions of young women out there." That single line changed how she approached the role, giving her a sense of responsibility she had never felt before. Off-camera, O'Connor's influence went even deeper. Struthers described him as the quiet anchor of the set. He checked in on cast members, invited her to dinner, and kept an eye on how she handled sudden fame. People forget how fast it all happened, she said. Overnight, we were everywhere. Magazines, debates, headlines. It was a lot. That steady, grounding presence helped Sally Struthers survive enormous pressure without losing herself along the way. It gave her balance when everything around her was loud, fast, and overwhelming. She also shared a side of Carroll O'Connor that fans rarely hear about, a lighter, playful side that rarely made it into headlines. Between takes, Carroll had a mischievous sense of humor that softened the heavy themes of the show. He loved telling long Irish jokes, sometimes dragging them out so much the entire set would dissolve into laughter. More than once, Norman Lear would grow impatient, ready to move on, while Carroll kept everyone laughing. He believed laughter kept people grounded, human, and connected. One truth Struthers emphasized strongly was his deep respect for women. While Archie Bunker became famous for dismissive and sexist rants, Carroll was the complete opposite in real life. He admired Jean Stapleton deeply and treated Struthers as an equal, even when she was young and still finding her voice. He made sure women's perspectives were heard on set, not brushed aside or minimized. Struthers believes that humanity is exactly why audiences could still connect with Archie, despite his flaws. Carroll's empathy always leaked through the character, even when the dialogue was sharp and uncomfortable. Struthers grew visibly emotional when talking about Carroll's later years, especially after the devastating loss of his son, Hugh O'Connor, in 1995. She said that loss broke his heart in ways most people could never fully understand. The sadness stayed with him, but he never let it harden him. Even through that pain, Carroll kept working, kept showing up, and kept reaching out to others. He never turned bitter. He continued offering kindness, encouragement, and quiet support wherever he could. Looking back now, Struthers says she feels a responsibility to share these stories because they reveal who he truly was. People will always remember Archie Bunker, she said, but I want them to remember Carroll O'Connor too, the man who believed in fairness, the man who adored his wife, Nancy Fields O'Connor, the man who treated his cast like family instead of competition. For Struthers, his real legacy was never about the character. It was about the quiet decency he lived by every single day. Carroll O'Connor, she concluded, was the best kind of teacher. Not loud, not controlling, but someone who led by example and never needed to dominate a room to earn respect. He taught her how to be brave on screen and how to stay grounded when the cameras stopped rolling. He showed her how humor and compassion could be tools, not shields. Those lessons stayed with her long after the applause faded. Struthers often reflects on how rare that kind of mentorship truly is, especially in an industry driven by ego, competition, and image. As a young actress stepping into one of the most politically charged television shows of its time, she could have easily been overwhelmed or sidelined. Instead, Carroll made sure she understood her value, not just as a performer, but as a voice that mattered. He respected her ideas and never dismissed her because of her age or inexperience. She's been clear about one thing. A major part of who she became, both professionally and personally, was shaped by his influence. Watching how he handled fame, criticism, and pressure taught her that success didn't have to come at the cost of decency. He believed the work mattered, but character mattered more. That belief quietly guided how she navigated her own career over decades. Now at 78, Sally Struthers speaks with the clarity that only time can bring. There's no bitterness in her voice, no need to exaggerate or polish the past. Just affection, gratitude, and a deep sense of responsibility to tell the truth. After decades of being associated with a character defined by conflict and controversy, she wants people to remember the man behind the role, not just Archie Bunker, but Carroll O'Connor, a man who listened more than he spoke, showed patience when others didn't, and carried empathy even while playing someone who often lacked it. For Struthers, honoring O'Connor isn't about nostalgia. It's about acknowledging how kindness and integrity can quietly shape lives without ever demanding credit. She believes those qualities are exactly why the show still resonates, and why she was able to grow into her own voice with confidence. As she looks back now, she doesn't see controversy first. She sees guidance, trust, and a bond built on mutual respect. That, she says, is the truth people deserve to know. If you found this story meaningful, make sure to like, subscribe, and share this video with others who appreciate classic Hollywood stories. Drop your thoughts in the comments below and stay locked in for more deep dives into legendary celebrity lives. We'll see you in the next one.